Parshas Vayetzei, Tavshin Pevav. I'll send you, on the vault in English. I'm going to talk extensively. I'm going to go through the psukim, but already in the pachad of Yaakov Avinu. How to explain it, what you're going to receive for Shabbos. Also has it. So I'm going to go on a different angle right now. I'm going to show you the kavanah of Yaakov Avinu. Why was he scared? Okay. Here the psukim, beginning of the parsha. וישלח יעקב מלאכים לפניו אל עשיו אחיו ארצה שעיר שדה אדום. Not going to start with the psukim. It's just mind-boggling the level of questions there are. So you're going to have all this in the verse that I sent you. Also the explanation. He had much more. So what did he mean by this? What was the intent in that passage? I just want to go on the last passage. Vayira Yaakov me'oid. He got very scared. Not scared. Very scared. To scare Yaakov Avinu? Not so pashut. Vayetzei lo. If you had left me just with Vayira Yaakov, say there, I understand that something scared him. By Vayetzei lo, it pained him. Something pained Yaakov Avinu. Meaning it's not a related fear, because really, look, you were in Lavan. The Midrash said anyone who bugged Lavan was turning into a mice. Lavan would say, "Pull up," the guy would turn into a mice. People know. Don't bother and don't anger Lavan. Ask yourself a question. The sin of Esav, it's such a burning fire. Why didn't he pursue Yaakov all the way to Lavan? Why didn't he go to Haran? You want to kill Yaakov? Okay, he's in Haran. You heard your father and your mother telling him to go to Haran. Why didn't you go there? Oh, no. Esav does not approach Haran. Why? Because he might anger Lavan and be turned into a mice. So he's not going there. And one of the first thing that Yaakov informs Esav is in Lavan Gati. For 22 years I've been there. I was able to control him. He was not able against me. In other words, the relationship between Yaakov and Esav is not that Yaakov is fearful of Esav. Is Yaakov is threatening Esav. You are nothing compared to Lavan. You just have strength in your hands. But this is nothing compared to the strength of Lavan. And I was able to overcome him. You know very well that that's why he asked from the very beginning, as soon as Yosef was born. We've been through that many times. Yaakov, Yosef, equals 338, equals Lavan Aram. At this point, he could live. So, okay, you saw that not only you left with your life, the life of your wives, the lives of your children, but you were able to take also Tzayin Lavan with you and all your wealth. Nothing of your belongings is missing. Why are you scared of Esau? Or are you scared of Esau? Vayachat es ha'am asher itoi and then he split the people that were with him. Ve'esatzain ve'esabakar ve'agemalim lishne machnos. I'm not going to get there, but you have to understand that Yaakov, just in the matana, you see that he had more than Sain, Bakar, and Gemalim. He had Chamoirim. He had Ebed Veshivcha. Where are they? Only these one. And it says here, Lishne Machnois. When Yaakov arrived, he called this place Machanoim. What is Machanoim in Hebrew meaning? It means two machmas. Interesting, right? Coincidence. In the place that he called two machmas he's going to split his people into machmas. Very interesting. So Yaakov Avinu here is really striking us on the way he behaves with Esau. He went all the way to Lavan to save the son Lavan, right? But when he saves the son Lavan, why? Because there was Gilgul Neshamos Yisrael inside. He goes, gives a part to Esau. What did you give a part to Esau? Are you doing exactly when there's a treifa? It says, La kelev tashlichun oisol. What's the explanation here? How do we see in the psukim all this hinted, the cheshbon of Yaakov, that should be pretty clear in the words and give us a direction. So let's go and first understand the mission of Yaakov as a tikkun, because Yaakov Avinu here, when he went to Lavan, his mother told him, Veyoshavta imoi yamim achadim. You will stay with him, you will remain with him a few days. Achadim. Yes, I know. Achadim is 63. And when the pasuk describes the 7 years that he's been working for Rachel, he also says, "Vayiyu be'einav keyamim achadim." And the Gemara the Midrash says, it's a Midrash Rabbah, yes. Since he worked for Rachel 7 years, so it means his mother told him to remain 7 years with Lavan. But he did remain 7 years with Lavan. He remained a lot more than 7 years with Lavan. But his mother told him 7 years. So why didn't he listen? This is going to transport us to, it's going to be one top subject that I've spoken about already. I explained it, but I'm sure, it's not, you won't remember. I don't expect you to remember just on top of your head this Indian. However, when Yaakov is facing Paroi, he's going to tell him, so Paroi is going to ask for his age, and Yaakov is going to answer. And he's going to tell him, I'm 130 years, and me'at veroim, and my life has been few and tough, bad. And the Midrash describes the pasuk on Iyov, lo shakati I didn't quiet down, meaning not the events came one after like a machine gun at Yaakov Avinu. He started with Lavan. Then he comes back from Lavan, he gets the Maisa of Dinah. He finished with the Maisa of Dinah. Here comes the Maisa of Yosef. And we're going to be explaining now, going into it, what really happened, the story behind the story. The story, you know it. But what's very interesting is the behind of the story. The Gemara says in Eruvin, Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah ben Elazar, Rabbi Yirmiyah says, when Adam Arishon was separated from Chava during the 130 years, at that point, he was giving birth. He was having whatever, Shadim and Ruchi. That's the Gemara. That's not the Zohar. That's nothing. It's the Gemara. How do we know that? Because when Adam Arishon gave birth to Shais, not gave birth, I mean had Shais, it says, Vayoiled bidmusoi ketsalmoi. He gave birth to a child in his shape and looking like him. In other words, the previous birth were not in his shape, meaning they had no goof, and they didn't look like him. So who did they look like? So this is how the Gemara comes up, that Adam Arishon had Shadim and Ruchim. And the Gemara ends up on saying that Adam Arishon was a big chassid. When he heard that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gathered Misa in the world, right away, he took upon himself 130 years in Tainus and separated from himself from his wife. And he put on him how do you call this? It's called twigs of fig trees. They're pricking because it's not smooth, that wood. And he had this on him 20 years, 130 years. Interesting, the Lashon of the Gemara. 130 years he was in Tainus. 130 years he separated from his wife. And 130 years he had a twig. It's almost like, what, 490 years? No, it's the same 130 years. But interesting how the Rabbi Meir in the Gemara cuts it off like this. The Ben Ish Chai comes and it gives us a light about, where is the derech we have to go. And he explained that for 130 years, day after day, in order to be mesaken the Eitz Adas, he was in Tainus. Why? Why he picked Dafka 130 years? Because it says in the Pasuk, Vaterbe ha'isha. It doesn't say, look, for you to realize, it doesn't say Vatere Chava. It says ha'isha, the woman. The. Which one is the? Okay, we'll see a bit later. So it came from the eye. Since ayin equals 130, so in order to be mesaken the sin that was done through the eye, therefore he sat down for 1 year per number, 130 years, because the eye is always the mediator or the medium that enables the sin. He's the middleman. The guy has it in his heart, in his mind, but as long as he doesn't see, it's not, it's not going to happen. It's going to remain a machshava. But as soon as he sees, boom, he's going to go to the chet. And explains the Bnei Yisrael, why did Rabbi Meir say 3 times like this? Meaning that 130 years of tinies, of achila he didn't eat, 130 years of precious. He says because he wanted to be mesaken 3 different levels. His nefesh, his ruach, and his neshama. And therefore they're separated because they're different people. But since the chet was terrible, he was poigem in the aleph of Adam and the aleph of Emes. So now you only have dam left and mace. And that's what he wanted to be mesakin. So now you have the 3 pagamim that he did. He wanted to be mesaken here. Aleph for achila. Lamed is levush. And it means the twigs that he wore on him. And pay is for precious, that he separated from his wife. That's what he wanted to do in order to be mesaken the chet of Eitz Hadas. I understand what the Bnei Yisrael is hinting here. Fine. The very simple pasuk, but it's not making justice to the inyan. We've learned already that Adam Arishon only ate after asking the 600,000 neshamos that were included in him. He asked each one of them, do you agree to eat from the Chetz Hadas? And until all the 600 responded, yes, did he eat? Well, -1, which is Moshe Rabbeinu. What happens to a person when he starts having envies? Tavas equal 830 equals Chamer, Shoyer, Caleb with the Caleb. When a person thinks that nah, it's nothing, it's well, it's easy to enter Rashi Tevis here, Choishet. We know that. But since I'm going to use it, so I want it to be very clear. This equals also Saras. 600. No, that's not Saras. Twice Mitzoira. For the 2 nechashim, because the Midrash says, you know why it has scales, the nachash, it's because it's a tsaras. It resembles, the tsaras didn't leave him. Now, the Midrash is saying that during all the time of the Galus, we're going to have suffering specifically on 3 mitzvahs. We have Torah, we have Shabbos, and we have Milah. These are the 3 mitzvahs through history that try to stop us going, not the other mitzvahs. These are the mitzvahs. Torah, Shabbos, and Milah. What's the connection to Tikkun of Adam HaRishon? Did Yaakov Avinu do it? We're going to see. But one thing I can see, that if you take those guys, Chamor Shor Caleb, and we're going to add him Milchemes, because you want to know the end. Gog Umagog equals 1400 equals Torah Shabbos Milah. In other words, me before I answer questions, or I need to define the perimeter. So the perimeter of this test is going to be until the end of, right by Bis Mashiach, the test will stop. But in the meantime, from Yaakov Avinu all the way down to Mashiach, this is going to be the test, and these are the mitzvahs we have to watch because they have something special. Fine, I can buy that. And I see who is, which is the koiches that are against it, that are going to prevent us from doing this, they are the koiches of the darkness. Until Milchemes Gog Umagog. The Chamor, the Ishmaelim, the Shor, the Christians, and the Caleb, the Amalek. They band together sometime, they don't band together sometime, but these are the ones that are going to prevent us from. And now we're going to find the words of the Ben Ish Chai. What Adam HaRishon did, Achila, Levush, precious, with a koilo. So we are somewhere here. We can see that in Achinami, we are touching a subject. So we have the mitzvahs on one hand, we have the tikkun that Adam HaRishon did on the second hand, and we have the evil forces that want to prevent us from doing this. The only part that we're missing, what do I have to do? That's the part we're missing. That's the fourth wall, and we're gonna have to go into an introduction in order to understand how do we put our grain of salt in there in order to help. And that's going to give us also an introduction to all the midrashim that said that Adam HaRishon did the 3 capital sins, and they're not going to be understandable. And now you're going to see that we are going to understand very, very well. I want to touch, I'm thinking right now, I want to touch the end of the second vote that I'm sending you, as Hashem, before Shabbos, because there is there a tremendous yesod that I would like to share with everyone. And that's going to nail, and that's going to heal a lot of the people from things that happen in their lives. The Ben Ish Chai in Ben Yo, so you know the sefer is called Ben Yo Yoda, and he has two pirushim, Ben Yo Yoda and Ben Yo, for the first name and for the second name of. So in Ben Yo, he explains he did 3 tikkunim Adam Arisha. Okay, again, Achila, was in tinies. He wore the twigs of fig trees in order to and this the Torah is made. It's in the it's a Midrash. No, it's a Midrash. He was in Gichoin. He had holes in his skin with all this pain that he went through. And the third thing is the precious from his wife, on whom the Zohar says this, and the Midrash said that the most beautiful woman in the world, compared to Chava, looked like a monkey. The beauty of Chava was so great that no other human being has even come close, not Sarah Imenu, come close to the beauty of Chava. And the story, the simple story, is the Nachash, the Midrash. The Nachash was seduced by this beauty, and he wanted to kill Adam Arishan. That's what he wanted to do. But now we're going to go deeper. So these 3 tikkunim that Adam Arishan did matched 3 tikkunim that of Avodah Zarah, Shvichus Damim, and Gilui Arayos, against the 3 capital sins that a person should let himself be killed rather than be over on this issue. I'll explain after it. The Zohar comes in Parashas Pikudei and it's going to tell us in different words what the Gemara in Eruvin told us. But he's going to give us one point that we're going to be able to use and move on with it. That when Adam Rishon realized that Hevel got killed and Cain got cursed, he said, what's the point for me to have children? He separated himself from his wife and he took on him tshuva and the Onshim. He was fine with the fact that he was seeing Kerry. It says the Zohar that Ruchos was coming and warming him up at night by dream, and he would see Kerry, and from there we created the Shadim and Ruchim. But when he realized that the same thing, that the Shadim male are also going to Chava, at that point he said, I'm not letting this happen. He went back to his wife, and this is when Sheis, the Tzaddik, was born. That's what the Zohar tells us. He doesn't bring up much. The only difference with the Gemara is that he stopped his tshuva or his penitence when he realized the koyach of the choshet. In other words, you think for yourself that what I'm doing is right. You have a mind, and you say, you know what? You rationalize. I have to do this because I did that. It makes sense to you, but it doesn't make sense to everyone. It does. It's not sure that you are right. With the components you have, with the little math, your understanding in math that you have in your head or in physics, that's how you translate the problem. But in the general truth, you can be completely in the wrong. And the fact is that Yaakov Avinu will have to pay a very dear price for these 130 years. In other words, Adam Rishon was not correct. I can talk like this, but the cheshbon that he had, he added pain on pain to Yaakov Avinu. Explains Dari HaKodesh in Shar Psukim in Parshas Vayetzei. He asked on the pasuk that I mentioned before that Yaakov told Paro that he was 130 years and his years were me'at ve'roim. They were few and bad. Explains the Ari HaKodesh that Adam Arishon came back in Gilgul in the 3 Avos. And that's the reason we call them Avos, because they had the Av, the previous Av, which was Adam Arishon. And since it was misgalgel in them, so they got the name of Av also. Interesting. And the Zohar, he brings that in the Tikkunim, the Zohar says that the Nefesh came into Avram, the Ruach into Yitzchak, and the Neshama into Yaakov. And each one had to do its tikkun. What was the tikkun in the Nefesh? As he brought down in Parashas Kedoshim, it's tikkun Avodah Zarah. Yitzchak, it's tikkun Shfichus Dam. Yaakov is tikkun Gilui Arayos. Where do we see? There was no other woman in the world. How can he do Gilui Arayos? There was no other man in the world. Who did he kill? It's not possible. You want to tell me Avodah Zarah? Maybe. But the other 2 sins, and since you see the roiv of the sin he didn't do, you can tell me the 3 sins he didn't do. So why do we blame him for 3 sins so important? It's not so partial to throw this at someone's face. Says the Ari HaKodesh, all this is included in the chet on the bris. Because he soiled himself with this, all the 3 chataim are included in this. That's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu killed Er before Yehuda. The firstborn of Yehuda was Er, because Rashi explains that he was pogem in his bris. How is it possible that such important and sins are included in there? This we're going to see in the pshat of the Marcho on the words of Dari HaKodesh. But Dari HaKodesh says that after the 130 years, Yaakov lived 17 years, which gematria tov, and that was a life for him because he finished the tikkun. At that time, he finished the tikkun of Adam Arishon. But we still haven't answered, that kind of tikkun in order to understand it, and what is Yaakov Avinu is going to do for this. But Chaim Vital, he has a sefer al Torah called Eitz Hadas. On Parshas Vayetzei, he speaks about these words of the Ari HaKodesh. He says, Avram Avinu, when he was tested by Nimrod, either you bow down to my Avodah Zarah, or I throw you in the Kivshan Ha'esh. He says, throw me. He was Mesaken Avodah Zarah. When Yitzchak Avinu told his father, attach me well and everything, maybe I'm going to move, he gave his life to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. With this, that's Shvichus Damim, he was Mesaken. But Yaakov Avinu, there was no he asked like this, the Marco, there was no other woman. How can he do Arois? He says a different answer. He says, I don't know if I should change the truth or tell you a lie. And neither is acceptable. So I'm going to tell you the truth, what he says about it. The first Chava was never called Chava. If you see in the Torah, it's only Ha'isha. She was not Chava. She was not created with the goof. She was the lily that later became, we call her Lili Harishoina. There's a Lili Rashniya, but if you pay attention to the psukim, you're going to realize that when he took the bone, he created a woman, a nekeva, not Chava. Only afterward in Perek Beis. So now, who ate the Chet et Hadas? It's the lily, not Chava. But Chava is the wife. So look how many mistakes we do by just translating Pshat Pasha. See, we talk about Chava did, Chava. No, it's not Chava. It's the lily. Chava would not fall for her eyes and everything. But when Adam Arishon, so Erev Shabbos, right before Shabbos, he went with her for the first time. And 10 drops of Zerah went in this. These 10 drops are the most important thing that we're going to have to be Messiah. Because 10 drops of Kedusha were directly given to the Malach HaMavis. And she doesn't want. The Mashiach was there, this was there, all the big neshamos that were in Adam Arishon, boom, they went into the other side. That's why when Avram was born, Terach, even though they were respecting the laws of Nida, the Goyim at that time, Terach decided he doesn't want to listen to more. He went with his wife when she was Nida, Amalsai by Baskoneva. When she was Nida. At that point, the Ramak explained, so the Sitra Achra saw that it's such a bad act and such a heavy tumah, she said, well, I'll give you Avram. Let him be Tameh with Tumas Nida. But he became Avram, starting with such a handicap and becoming Avram. And the Mashiach, we spoke about it in the previous years, he came through the daughters of Lot. Why? Because every time there's an Isser done, at that point, the other side is willing to release a big neshama. Because they thought nobody can overcome such an Isser between a daughter and her father. It's not Shaykh. Yes? HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to bring it through Doiros, clean it bit by bit, until he got to Rus, and then Boaz, and then David HaMelech. So every time in a union, a forbidden union, that's when now we start seeing a different picture. So every time we say it's the Chet Etzadas, yes, the death came through the Etzadas. Who gave it to Adam Arishon? That lily. That lily had no goof. But the main Isur, the main Chet, says the Marcho, is those 10 drops that he gave to me. Let me explain you. I don't want to lose you. I just want to explain you because this is going to be knowledge for you. Now you're going to understand that it just didn't happen. We thought we understand Adam, Chava, this and this, that. When the first woman was born, she was from the Gvuras, from the Din, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu originally wanted to create the world with Din. And the one with Din came, the lily. When it didn't work, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu created a second woman from Chasadim. And that woman is Chava. And that's why in the Pasuk, it's every time, Vatere ha'isha, vayomer la'isha. It's she, because she is not Chava. She is the Isha. Which Isha? The lily that became the wife of the son at the end. So he reached his goals. He wanted to marry her. At the end, he's going to marry. And there's another one called Naama, what we call Lili Shniya. I don't want to lose you, which is the mother of all the Shindalit. All of them come from Naama. So we have Lili and we have Naama. Lili took the neshamos from Adam Arishon, the biggest neshamos, and she keeps them. And Naama is the one people that secret. So there are two tikkunim that need to be done. Just remember this two tikkunim. So Yaakov Avinu said, in order for me to be mesaken, I need to marry two sisters, which looks like a erva, because according to the Torah, you cannot marry two sisters. But if I have to be mesaken Adam Arishon, I have to be in the same situation. And why is it not the same? Because when a ger becomes a ger, Medina is allowed. If someone, a child, is misguided with his mother, they have no more yichus, no connection. He's allowed to marry midiraisa, his mother. But so Goyim shouldn't say, in our religion it's forbidden, in the Jewish religion it's much less, it's permitted. Chachamim Asadi. But when two sisters are misgayer, like Rachel and Leah, because the wife of Lavan was not Jewish, Rachel and Leah, automatically they're not anymore sister. There's no more Isur. It's Kekot and Shenoilat, like a different. And he got married when he was 84 years old. Why? Because the tikkun of Kri is 84 tanis. And Keneged there, and he never saw Kri in his life. As he said, Reuven is my firstborn and my first, his first koyach. So where is the tikkun of Yaakov Avinu? Now I'm going to reconnect to the first question I asked beforehand. Yaakov Avinu is capable of elevating himself to Adam Arishon, to undo what he did, to erase any of the chataim that he did, and he's going to be scared of Esau. Hashem was with him. The Zohar says Lavan couldn't believe that his sorcery, his witchcrafting, whatever it's called, wouldn't work on Yaakov. He was trying to say spells all the day long on him. Wouldn't take. Wouldn't take. It was getting crazy. At the end, he stopped because he saw Yaakov is above his pay grade and he can touch Yaakov. So he didn't want Yaakov to get angry at him. So he stopped. But we see that Yaakov Avinu has a tremendous koyach. He can. Abraham repaired the nefesh. Fine. Yitzchak repairs the ruach. Better. But Yaakov repairs the neshamos. You have such a koyach, Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu I could add even a question. When Esav came, he's going to bow down 7 times. I understand why you did 7 years for Rachel. Why 7 years for Leah? To raise them, because they fell also into the other side, and you had to recreate the 7 spheres of Rachel and Leah so they can stand full height. I understand. By why 7 times you bow down to before Esau? Why? What's that fear? Not only a fear, but me'oi, the Torah says. Yaakov Avinu was very worried with Yosef. Ele told us Yaakov, Yosef. The continuation of the tikkun of Yaakov is Yosef and Yosef on. The other Shvatim were not involved in that tikkun. The only one involved in that tikkun is Yosef. And he saw Beruach HaKodesh that he's going to be tested by the wife of Potiphar, and he knew who was inside the wife of Potiphar. And Nebuch, how is he going to withstand such a nisayon? We mentioned already before that for 1 year she wouldn't stop. The clothes she wore in the morning, she wouldn't wear in the afternoon, and she wouldn't wear at night. 3 type of clothing to beautify herself, and she was beautiful. And Yosef, she was getting, look at me, or I'll poke your eyes. You can poke my eyes. You know, he mamish, and then for 12 years he's thrown in a dungeon, or the boiler, in the pit, in prison there, and every day she comes there. You can be out of your misery if you accept. And he said, this koyach of Yosef is tremendous for completing, but with that, we have overcome the power of Esau forever. It says in the pasuk here, I'm going to anchor you back in the words. It says in the pasuk here, Vayishlach Yaakov malachim. Rashi says malachim mamish. Dari HaKadosh said he sent him malachim shida and shidois. So male and female shadim to show him his power. He controls both sides, the good and the bad. To show Esau, and Esau, his teeth started to kill. He got very scared. So how can I go against Yaakov? So he came out not with the bad intention that Midrash said, to appease Yaakov. So if you're so much stronger than him, why Yaakov, first thing you do when you arrive to Eretz Yisrael, now you see the Malachim, 222,000 Malachim around you, and you're scared? This equals to 677 equals Klipas Caleb, which is called like this, and this is the Klippa of Amalek. Yaakov Avinu was very worried. Now, if you want to go further, it's equals Ruach Mesava, the Ruach Hatuma, Ruach Mesava. I think it's Satan, not Nachash. Otherwise, there's one difference between both of them. Yaakov Avinu was definitely not scared of Esav. Who is Esav and nothing? He has a sword. Since when Bnei Yisrael went to war with weapons? We don't need weapons. Yaakov Avinu would just dive into HaKadosh Baruch Hu, a Malach would have come and finish up this Esav. There was no fear. When the son of Esav came to fight Yaakov, right away all the Malachim Elyonim came to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, let us go down and help Yaakov. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told them, Yaakov doesn't need your help. He has such a schus that his schus is keeping him safe. You have nothing to worry. However, the Zohar says, when he touched his hip, the koyach of Yaakov vanished. Not that he could, the Satan could take him over. No, he could not. But Yaakov Avinu was, at that time, he was bitter. He kind of realized something. What did he see? What did Yaakov Avinu saw at this time? Touch the seat belts. Yaakov Avinu saw the last generation, the suffering of the last generation. And the suffering of the last generation, you think it's coming from Esau? No. It's Megale the Zohar HaKodesh that the suffering of the doichak and the achzarius, I don't want to say the real vile people that we're going to face. One without mercy. The anti-Midrash Bnei Yisrael. They are the Erev Rav. And they are the one that will be controlling the Bnei Yisrael at that time. And if I can check, but if I recall, Vayishlach Yaakov Malachim equals also, it's not 67, it was 812. Chamer Shor Caleb equals 812. Equals Ishmael, Esav, Erev Rav. The true Amalekim, That's why we say in the Kina in Eicha, Hayu Tsareha Leroish. They are going to be the head of Am Yisrael, and they're very cruel. You're going to see there. I bring you from Daria Kodesh, I bring you from the Zer. All the mitzvahs that they do is for themselves. How? It's a path for them to reach two destinations, Kavod and Mammon. And Bnei Yisrael don't realize that these heads that they have at that time, they think like all the leaders, they care for the people. No, they're not there for you. You actually delaying them, so they're going to trample over you. You have their path is to go to two things, Kavod and Mammon. And they are, in order to reach their goal, they're going to kill. And even if it's Bnei Yisrael, it doesn't matter. And when Yaakov saw that, he got very scared. Who's going to save them? They're going to lead the Bnei Yisrael to do tremendous chataim, what the Satan was unable to make them do. There are the children of the Malach HaMavet. I'm just quoting the Zohar, I have nothing, no agenda, nothing, just quoting the Zohar here. And these are the people that are going to tell the Bnei Yisrael, on Shabbos to do this, it's mutter. They don't even know the right from the left. And Avade halachas cannot stay in their heads. They can't quote nothing. They can't even show it to you in a book, nothing. You can recognize them. But no, people have, because they have this glow, they have money. I was talking to the Rabbanut today in Eretz Yisrael. So, I said, I'm tired. I am tired of your politics. I said, you know what? If what you want is I should come to Eretz Yisrael and I should pass your test because you don't respect anyone that has another test, I said, I'm ready to come. I said, I don't need to prepare. I'm ready to come. You tell me next week you're going to take me. I'm ready to come for next week. And you're going to see I'm going to pass the test. No, you don't understand. When people start with you don't understand, right away, something is very wrong. So they tell me, you're not affiliated to any niflaga. You're not affiliated to any political group. He says he says there's a lot of dayanim that pass the test in Eretz Yisrael, but they're not employed by the Rabbanut. It's only the one, if you're affiliated with Gimel or your wife or something, or the Shas, you're going to work in the Rabbanut. But if you don't have any affiliation, we won't recognize you. It doesn't matter that I said, I thank you for that. I said, you don't understand. It's such a nechama to hear. I couldn't understand. He says, for many years, I was suspecting this. And I realized, I thought at the beginning, no, you guys are good. It's a merit system or whatever. No, he says, I'll tell you the truth. The system stinks here. And I said, you know how many of Am Yisrael suffer because of that? He says, there's nothing you can do. It's a political system. If you can make sense or give a heart to politics, you're going to succeed. But otherwise, you're wasting your time. I said, thank you. I understand. And I moved on. I realized, and I said, I'm going to have to circumvent the system. There's obviously a solution some way. And B'ez Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to show it to me because you can't go through the main road. I thought it was just a matter of this. You can't do that. So I said, okay. There's no need to get angry at the messenger or whatever. That's the system. So we're going to find a way around the system. We said before, Yaakov Yosef equals 338. You know that it's the Sar of of Esav is the Samael, and the one of Ishmael is Rahav. And it's also the Gematria HaChoshech. Everything leads us there. Basically, the first one to have brought down the Choshech down to this world is Adam HaRishon. And Yaakov Avinu, he's going to pull the oir here. When he marries Leah and Rachel, Rachel, because we said before, they're not really arise, but he wanted to be in the system. What did he do? Leah Rachel equals 274, equals Ruach Hatuma. They were the only one, only the Malchus, it's the last Midah, can basically take action in the world under. And you had to start with Leah and Rachel to clean up a bit the place in order for Yaakov Avinu to do his avodah. Since he was the Basayin, Yortzeit this week says a tremendous that I'm going to use a tremendous chap. He says Vayishlach Yaakov malachim lefanav. If you take the first letter, come out a word Vayamoy, and he made the milah. I know that Yosef is going to do this to the Mitzrim, and he's going to weaken them that way. Because had they not done the milah, we would have never come out of Mitzrayim. Only because that we had the milah, and we also know, we learned this from I think it was last year I said it. Yeah, last year. From not the Ibn Ezra, it's from the Targum Yonasan, from Yonasan ben Uziel, that Yosef was conceived in Leah. Dinah was conceived in Rachel. And while they were already babies, with the tefillah of Leah, they were exchanged. So it was not spiritual, the change. It was really physical. They were already a fetus, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu changed them. In other words, they have a special mission, both of them. Both of them have the koyach, the mother of Leah and Rachel. From conception is Leah for Yosef. From birth is Rachel. Dinah is just the opposite. When Yosef equals 156, Dinah equals 69. The difference between them is Vayamah. Yaakov Avinu is sending us here a hint that the milah is in between them. How? I'm going to explain. When he sent Vayishlach Yaakov Malachim El Esav Achiv. How many times are you going to tell me it's your brother? Don't you think we remember from Parshas told us that Esav is your brother? Why did you send that for, Yaakov? Because you're fearing Esav? No. To weaken Esav. El Esav Achiv equals 432. And now with the Rashi Tevis of Vayamoy equals 518. 518 is Lehadlik Ner Chanukah. Yaakov Avinu was working against the Yevanim at that time. And he saw the difficulty, the Hashmonaim, they were only a handful, and Ayopator had 1 million strong army of soldiers and animals from India, tigers trained for war and everything, and Yehuda Maccabi only with his few people. We don't realize that Yaakov and Yosef are fighting the wars until this time they've been fighting the wars. And I'm going to prove it. I'm going to prove it. It's almost Hanukkah, I know, and we need to understand how far these nisim are going, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu vehi she'amda l'avoseinu velanu sheloi echad bilvad, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu was, the machshava was that Yaakov Avinu should prepare. Yaakov Avinu complains, I just finished Lavan, Dinah starts. Midrash says, it says in the pasuk, Yaakov arose in the middle of the night. He took his wife and his servants, his maid, asked the Midrash, and where was Dinah? There was another woman. Where is Dinah? Dinah, he put her into a box and he closed it. Why? He says, because I don't want this Russia to look at her and take her away from me. Kodesh Baruch Hu says, you don't want to give her to a Mahu. She's going to get married to her Orel. You don't want to marry her permissibly, then she's going to get married Be'isa. Not get married when I said, that's the Lashon of the Midrash I translate, but it means, I don't get it, this Midrash. Honestly, don't get it. Yaakov Avinu, the Godel Adoir, has a tzadekes of a daughter, his unique daughter. Now there's a Rasha Merusha, the biggest Rasha of the world, and you have a tiny that he doesn't give his daughter there. I'm sorry. Where is the chiyuv starting? Since when he has to endanger his daughter? It's not possible. How can you have a tine on Yaakov Avinu? Says the Midrash, Ilu Yaakov had given his daughter, and that seems to be a far-fetched claim, she would have been machzir b'tshuva Esav. Esav, his koyach, could not withstand the koyach of Dinah coming from both mothers. She would have turned him around and make him a tzaddik. What is that? A supposition? A theoretical thing? Because it never happened. I know time is quickly passing, but I'm going to go quick on this one. You take, it's too big, this one. Esav, and you're going to understand the Midrash. Dinah equals 445. 445 equals those letters. Hey Vav, Zain Ches, Tes Yud, Lamed Nun, Samech Ayin, Tzadik. Now, if you guys remember, we learned in Sefer Yetzirah, Perek Hey, Mishnah Aleph, what does it say? That the Shechina, the Malchus, was created with 12 letters. And these are exactly those letters. Equals 445. Now you understand why the Midrash is telling you she would have been Machzir B'tshuva Esav. They would be able to create and be Mesaken the Malchus with the Tshuva of Esav more than the Tikkun of anyone has made in the Malchus. Like she was a new creation without any pgam. That's what the Zohar, that's what the Midrash is telling you. Now, just to check Dinah, her koyach. Her mother from conception is Rachel. Her mother from birth is Leah, and she's named Dinah. This equals 343. This equals to Ab, Sag, ma, kasa. In other words, it's mamish the shir we had Monday night in Eretz Chaim. This is the Shem Membase in Milui from Olam HaBeriyah. Kye Yud K Ba. You have all the names here. In other words, now you understand what the Midrash says. What did Dari HaKodesh said in about the Shem Membase? He has one function, to raise. Dina Koach is to rise and to raise. It doesn't matter how heavy the weight is. She has the Shem Membase of Olam HaBeriyah. Who's in Olam HaBeriyah? The Bina. And what's the Bina? Olam HaTshuva. Now I understand the Midrash exactly what he said in the words. Yaakov goes out at night. He is going to get pachim ktanim, says Rashi. Small jaws. Says the Abbas Yisrael. What's pachim ktanim? He didn't tell me how many. So he says the minimal plural is 2. So 2 times pach katan. Equals 518. Equals lehadlik. Lehadlik. Ner Chanukah. Again, we have it a second time here. And when he tells the Malach, Loi Aishalechacha, the guy wants to go already, you know. And Yaakov says, no, I'm not sending you. Yaakov, for what exact reason you retain him down here? If you want to do him, finish him up. But what's the point of just keeping him and refraining him from going back up? Yaakov was looking for something. He knew that there's going to be a problem in the menorah. They're not going to have oil. And in order to create the nes of Hanukkah, we needed oil. And he said, my friend, I need the Bnei Yisrael need to light the ner of Hanukkah. Give me shemen. If there's no shemen down here, you're not going up there. It's you time from Shira. There's no Shira for you. Just a quick one, because I really want to finish here past the time. Amongst the present, he gives him Gemali Menikos to Esau. So, I mean, there's a whole process how he took it out from Esau and then took it out from Isar and then created together the Nes of Chanukah. What do we care if they're nursing or not nursing? Does it make a difference to us what he sent him? Or to Esau he was getting? No. This equals 739 equals Neiros Chanukah. Yaakov Avinu, and then he did for Purim also and everything, but this is the tikkun that Yaakov Avinu did, and at the end of all these tikkunim, the main thing he could not overcome is the Erev Rav. When he said, Ki yarei anoichi, and this is the last one, Ki yarei anoichi, oiso, it's written with only one vav, oiso. I'm scared of him. Is the Allah in full Ayin, Reish, Lamed, Hey. Erev Rav is the Allah. And not any Allah. Worse than Esau. Sorry, it's with the Yud here. I wrote with the Hey in order thing. And this equals Kra Satan, which we know from the Kavanas of the Tkiyas. That's the only shame that's going to help us getting rid of this Erev Rav and be able to see the oil. As much as we saw, not scared of Esau, not scared of Lavan, not scared of nothing, but extremely worried about the Erev Rav. And we see today what's happening in the world. And Am Yisrael, how it says the Pismon, there's no, you can scream as much as you want. There's nothing we can do. This is the path for Mashiach. But it's kedai to bow down our head and to go and take and swallow. But at the end of the day, to be zoiche to the Geula Shleima and to be able to hug the Mashiach when he comes. Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David. Because we're the last generation. He's going to hug us and tell us, my children, I'm so proud of you that you've been able to withstand such a test. This test is harder than all the other tests. Amen.